On the weekend, we saw Man United lose 2-1 to Brighton, and once again, it was down to another defensive calamitous from Manchester United. But why do you think that is, Zach?
Well, these issues seem to occur again and again for Ten Hag's side.
Yeah.
The gaps between the midfield and the back line, and the gaps between the midfield and the forward line are always all on show. The amount of space is absolutely ridiculous. And yes, the first goal, it was Maguire's fault. There's no two ways about it. But Man United allowed the ball to get from the right-hand side, where it started, to that left-hand side with such ease. Brighton knocked it around effortlessly. No interceptions, no challenges. And then obviously Welbeck marauded into the box and tapped it home. Like I said, Maguire was the main culprit in that move, but still, it was poor from Man United.
Everyone's at fault there, aren't they?
Exactly. And also Man United's rest defence is poor as well. It's a sort of an aspect that some people don't look at. But basically, rest defence is when your team loses the ball, it's how they sort of set up defensively. Yeah. And Man United's defensive structure is so poor. The moment they lose the ball, there's no organisation there. They're almost running around like headless chickens, trying to cover space, trying to get towards the ball. When you watch Liverpool or City or Arsenal, it's very rigid and everybody knows their position.
It's a system.
Exactly.
Whereas at United, the game's always open. It feels like every game. Against Fulham, the game was open. Against Brighton, the game was open. Against Fulham, they got fortunate. Against Brighton, they got unlucky. And then you're just riding off luck, which is not what you should be doing.
It's a frequent occurrence throughout Ten Hag's theme. The rest defence is poor. The gaps between the midfield and the back line, the midfield and the forward line are poor. And then in the second goal as well, it was incredibly ridiculous and shocking. How on earth can João Pedro and his Brighton teammates queue up,
ready for a goal?
Yeah. That's ridiculous. It's like, all right, I'll score one, then I'll score the next one. It's stupid. Adingra just
terrible.
Put the ball into the box, and they're just there at the back post. And I know De Ligt was playing, and maybe this wasn't the most sort of cohesive back line. There's not much chemistry there.
No, that's true.
But there is no excuse for that. If that happens in a League 1 or a League 2 match, or even Sunday League,
you'd be questioning it. Yeah, if you're playing Sunday League and that happens, you would definitely be getting belted for it.
You'd be shouting.
Because there's no way.
Who's picking them up?
Yeah.
And this is Premier League football.
Premier League level.
João Pedro must have been sat there thinking, how on earth have I got this amount of space to score the winner as well? If it's that late on in the game, you have got to be tight. It's not like United would have had any time afterwards to get back into the game.
Where's Delô as well? Where's he to be seen? He's their left back there. Why is there 3 or 4 Man United defenders all the way over the other side of the pitch? Why is there 3 Brighton players in space? Like what? That makes no sense at all. Shocking defending, awful for Man United, and it just is a theme throughout Ten Hag's tenure.
And as you touched upon, they were poor against Fulham the other week. But do you think these consistently poor displays are purely down to Ten Hag, or do you think there are other reasons why United are so poor?
Well, as we know, Ten Hag relies on individual quality to get him out of games. And that has been a theme throughout his tenure, from when Rashford was doing it a couple of years ago, even to now, like we saw against Fulham. And that you just cannot rely on. You can't rely on individual quality to get you out of games, because then that is what costs you, because you're just relying on luck, as I was saying earlier. But if you're going to do that, you shouldn't be taking off Bruno Fernandes when it's 1-1 against Brighton. You wouldn't want winning the game at all at any point. The game's not done, so there's no point in taking your strongest players off. Yet you sub off Bruno Fernandes, your main talisman, the guy who gets the goals, who gets the assists.
It's ridiculous.
And you're taking him off.
How can you justify that?
You can't.
He's playing as the number 9, and maybe you wanted to bring on Xerxes and play him up there.
But then you put Scott McTominay on as well.
And he's leaving, supposedly leaving to Fulham. Napoli.
Napoli, yeah.
But then I don't understand why on earth you take Fernandes off in that situation. Like you said, maybe you just take Mainoo or Casemiro off and just put more men forward. Yes, Brighton do pose the threat, but you've got to go for the game at that stage.
Well, the game was so open as well. So someone like Fernandes, that's perfect for him.
Yeah, spread those passes.
Spread passes, score goals, scores long range goals, scores all types of goals. He's a perfect player for that kind of game when it's end to end. Yet you take him off, you put McTominay on, makes no sense. And then I just really don't understand those kind of decisions.
And De Ligt didn't start either?
No, De Ligt didn't start either. Again, Maguire cost the first goal. Well, he's at fault for the first goal, and he cost him that first goal with the poor position, as you mentioned earlier. And yet De Ligt didn't start. You've signed him. Why are you not playing him? Because he's been signed in for ages now.
He's also used to Ten Hag's system. I know you really want to call this a system, but he's used to playing under Ten Hag. So yes, you're sort of throwing him in the deep end in many aspects, because he hasn't played in the Premier League or with these proper players before. But then again, if he's played under Ten Hag, he knows what Ten Hag expects of him, and so it's not a completely new environment.
No, I agree. Yeah, but even though Ten Hag has made countless poor decisions, in our opinion, I don't think it is all down to him, because the club and their recruitment is so poor, isn't it?
Well, look at Manuel Ugarte, for example. He's been touted with a move to United for what, 2-3 weeks now?
Ages now.
Has he put pen to paper? No, it is absolutely ridiculous. And when you consider that their only natural defensive midfielder, well, first team defensive midfielder, in that position is Casemiro. And we all know that Casemiro is not the player he was a couple of years ago. His legs are gone. And yes, Ten Hag's system isn't the most demanding. It's not like playing under Bielsa or Klopp. But you've still got to cover a lot of ground within that midfield. And he's just not up to the task. And Mainoo is an exuberant young talent, a very good footballer. He's just putting too much of an onus upon him.
Well, he's having to cover for Casemiro now, and now it's tiring him out.
And he's 18, and I know this may sound silly, and a lot of people may say, you're a kid, you've got loads of energy, but if you put so much of an onus on players at a young age and you run them into the ground, by the time they're 24, 25, 26, they're not quite as good as you may expect them to be. And by the time they're 29 and 30, their legs are falling off.
Agreed.
And you do not want that from a player of that quality. Yeah. And also, he's more likely to pick up injuries within this season and in years to come if he's being overplayed. Look at Pedri, for example. He's picking up injuries now, and look how many games he's played for Spain.
Oh, exactly. That's the thing.
And Barcelona.
I mean, if they get Ugarte to the line, fair play, that is a very good signing, but it shouldn't take this long because we know that this is a priority for Manchester United. It's got to be
their number one signing.
Definitely. I mean, we know their midfield isn't good enough. We saw that last season, and they haven't done anything to it.
On paper, it's half decent.
Oh, yeah, but
Casemiro's legs are gone.
Exactly.
Fernandes, is he really an 8? No, is he playing as a 10? And then Manu, he's just covering so much distance on his own.
Yeah. So yeah, on paper it might look good, but I watch it on my TV, I watch football there in the ground.
Look at the metrics
I can clearly see, you can clearly see that Casemiro is not good enough for Manchester United, yet you still haven't replaced him. And replacing him now, don't get me wrong, it's better than not replacing him, but it's way too late for me. And this is things that Ten Hag can't help.
Yeah. Although at the same time, you may think to himself, surely he could sort of maybe usher Casemiro out the door, maybe sort of tell him.
But then there's the money. How much? He's been signed for a big fee, so United want.
You're not going to get as much for him.
He's on massive wages.
That's the reason why I think is the hardest thing to get him out is because of those wages.
He's on over 300 grand a week.
He's going to be happy sat on that money, knowing that if he does move to another club, unless it's a Saudi Arabian team, he's not going to get an ounce of that cash. But Ten Hag's probably just got to cut his losses. If they get 15, 20 million for him and he goes to a mid to lower table side, like a Crystal Palace, for example, I know that sounds crazy, and he may be on 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
I think he could suit playing in a system, maybe not Palace, for example, not the best example.
A lower, a team that sits lower, you know what I mean?
Sits deeper. There's not much of a emphasis upon playing out because, he's not a bad ball player, but he's not quick thinking anymore because of his legs is gone. He's not able to receive the ball under pressure, spin, turn. Look at Gravenberch. He's not a natural 6 for Liverpool, but from what we've seen so far in that position, he's quick on the ball. He's good on the half turn. He can receive it with his back to play.
Same with McAllister when he plays now as well.
Same with McAllister. And Casemiro's just lost that. It reminds me a bit of Fabinho in his last season.
Yeah,
Liverpool.
that's what it gives me vibes of as well.
His legs just went, didn't it?
Yeah.
And Casemiro is, unfortunately for
quality
him...
player back in the day.
Yeah.
Quality player a couple of years ago, but not now.
Not now.
Do you remember when Jeremy Carragher said, leave the football before it leaves you? Well, at the time, yes, it did seem a bit disrespectful towards a player like Casemiro, the accolades he's won. But
looking back on it,
Casemiro is now just proving him right. Staying this season, we can clearly see that Jamie Carragher, what he said, is just spot on, and Casemiro...
100%. It's just not good enough, is it?
And I don't see him improve anytime soon, not with his age, not with his legs. So I don't know why United haven't already replaced him. And players like Ugarte should be through the door already. Yeah. And that's just one prime example of the constant issues going on at 100%. Manchester United as a club, which to me, Ten Hag isn't involved in, and that's not down to him. But to conclude upon all of this, all of the chaos that is going on at Manchester United with the manager, players, squad, club, everything, where do they go from here?
Well, personally, what I think will happen is that the new signings of Ugarte, Lenny Ioro will obviously be integrated into the squad, De Ligt, Masazuri, and they'll all sort of
good signings, to be fair.
They're not bad signings at all. And I think that they will buy Ten Hag time in a similar situation to when he brought in Casemiro.
Yeah,
he bought him a bit of time because Casemiro was literally their best player that season alongside Rashford.
And he papered up a lot of cracks as well, to be fair.
Yes, exactly. There were a lot more cracks that Casemiro papered up, and that did help Ten Hag and helped him keep his job for longer. So I think those signings that are brought in, they could almost give Ten Hag the extra few months or to the end of the season.
Yeah.
But come next summer, I do not see a world in which Man United go into the following campaign with Ten Hag as their manager unless they cannot find another replacement next summer just like this one, or Ten Hag's team suddenly has this massive uplift this season. But then again, like I said, even if they do have a massive uplift and they do manage to get into the top 4 or potentially win a trophy, I think they'll link back to the fact that seasons gone by, we've seen that players can cover up cracks for Ten Hag, and if they're still relying on moments throughout the season but getting the results done, they're going to go, no, we cannot have this. Look at Slot, he's just coming to Liverpool. There is a clear plan in place. Liverpool are playing good football in a system you can recognise, and if that's not there, no matter how many good moments there are,
for sure,
he's not good enough, is he?
And I think Ineos will look to recreate what Liverpool are doing in sort of a way, like how they have a system in place. Same with Arsenal with Arteta, to be fair, where the players are all buying into their philosophy, the manager's philosophy, and I think Ineos will want the same thing. And if Ten Hag's not getting results, whether it's due to individual performances or whatever it is, I don't think Ineos will keep him, and I don't think he'll be there next season.
Or even if he does get results, like I said, but they're relying on moments still, I don't think they keep him, because you've got to have a good plan in place, good structure, and your team's got to have an identity. And what does Ten Hag and United don't have at the moment? Identity.
Yeah.